Joining us now, Russ Vought, Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Great to have you on Fox News Sunday.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with some of the assessments about what the big, beautiful bill will do. Reuters reports this. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office on Wednesday estimated the bill will add about $2.4 trillion to the $36.2 trillion U.S. debt pile. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget said on Wednesday that when taking interest payments into account, the bill's cost would rise to $3 trillion over a decade, or to $5 trillion if temporary tax cuts were made permanent. Are they wrong?
They are wrong, and that's because all of the watchdogs use an artificial baseline that is part of the way that Washington, D.C. does business here, in which they assume that all spending is eternal, but tax relief in 2017 was to sunset. And as a result, when you just extend tax relief, you're in a situation where it looks like this major cost. And of course, that's not a cost. If it would not to occur, it would be a major tax increase to the American people. And so when you adjust for that baseline, that big game, and this is putting aside the economic growth that we think that they also understate, when you adjust for that, it is $1.4 trillion in reduced deficits and debt. That's why this is such a paramount, fiscally responsible bill, notwithstanding the watchdogs here in town.
Okay, to the point of the watchdogs, CBO, the director there is Phil Swagel, and this is what the Wall Street Journal reports about him. It says what the CBO is doing is what it is supposed to do, according to Swagel. The agency measures proposals using methods required by Congress. It isn't advocating for or against any policy. CBO's post-2017 forecasts were correct, Swagel says, and by the way, he's a Republican. So what is the issue then with CBO? If they're using methods Congress tells them they have to use, are those methods wrong?
The baseline that they have to go against does require what I just articulated. However, CBO is not precluded by putting out the most accurate analysis they want to. So they can put out a score and tell the world, look, this is the parameters for which we have to judge. But they also, and can put out alternative analysis that says, look, this is current policy baseline. This is what the bill will do as a result of that. They don't have to be weighted to ask to be able to do that kind of analysis. And when we look at the fact that they are often just, they can't see the forest for the trees. And I'll just give you an example. Just last year, they said that the Biden border security bill was going to reduce the deficit. I mean, no one, when you think about what's happening over the course of the last few days or just in general over the last year, several years with the Biden border catastrophe, would articulate that somehow all of these individuals, the invasion that we're facing is somehow going to reduce the deficit. In fact, all of these people are going to be on welfare programs and lead to great costs. We know that, the American people know that intuitively, and CBO often gets those kinds of things wrong.
Okay, they stand by their forecast. Would you have to request an alternative forecast if you wanted one, or is that something that they would have to do unsolicited?
They are not precluded from being able to put out as much information as they want to make sure the American people understand and get it right.
Could you ask for a different assessment than what they've done?
Sure, but it's not required. This is something that CBO, again, they have the ability to put out the most accuracy as possible to make sure the public is informed and we don't have watchdogs going off of artificial baselines.
Okay, so this is all happening against this very public breakup with Elon Musk. By the way, the New Republic called you Elon Musk's puppet master, so we can get more into that. They say that really he may be the face of this, but others say you're the brains of what's happening here with Doge and now with the bill. Here's what Elon Musk posted on Wednesday on X. He says, America is in the fast lane to debt slavery. Politico reports a senior Hill leader on Friday saying this: you don't want the world's richest guy with the biggest megaphone blanking on the bill in crunch time. You've heard some GOP voices, and we may hear from one that after you, Senator Scott, who've had real concerns about the spending, the trajectory of where this is going. So how much will this break up and what Elon is saying on his way out the door impact potentially your ability to get these Senate votes together?
Shannon, we're not worried about the president's moving on. I think the president and all of these headlines are missing the fact that the president is the leader of this administration and the one that is driving the agenda. And the people are going to come and go in an administration, and the president will be there defending the interest of the American people. And we made great progress this week. I mean, I think we were able to get the word out with regard to what this bill does for fiscal responsibility. We're having great conversations with senators on parts of their bill that they want to improve or tweak, maintaining the realities of the vote coalition in the House. We're having great conversations. And honestly, there was a lot of reporting with regard to this week's events, but we moved forward and we made progress with the bill. And I think we're going to get the bill to the president's desk in July.
Okay, so you have to get through the Senate, as we've talked about, to do that. And I know you're having conversations with people trying to meet each of the concerns there without blowing up what the House has done. So you've got this issue of the debt ceiling that is included here. We had Senator Rand Paul on. He's been very vocal about this for months. A couple of weeks he sat here and told us. And he said Congress is like a bunch of drunk teenagers. So why would you give them a bigger credit line? Not that it's going to be for more spending, but if you know that room is there, it's got to be tempting where here in Washington, people like to spend money.
Well, any plan ever in history to deal with the debt limit extension, going back 20, 30 years, even the ones that have been supported by conservatives have always attached meaningful reforms, which this bill does. This bill includes $1.7 trillion in mandatory savings to the debt limit extension, which is absolutely paramount to get done in July. We're at the end of the extraordinary measures that the Treasury Department can do. And the conservatives that have historically used the debt limit to sound the alarm have been pushing for the very reforms that are in this bill. So we believe that it's important to do it with Republican votes, to not have to deal with the Senate filibuster. And we want to get it taken care of it so that Chuck Schumer doesn't have this hanging over the administration and the administration's agenda for the next several years.
All right, we're about to talk to our next guest about whether all of that can work for him and get him to a yes. Director Vought, great to have you. Thanks for coming in.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.